Welcome to Making Moves with Michael. I'm coming live to you every single day. That's right. I'm coming live to you every single day. And it's because of the 10,000 hour rule. So, what is the 10,000 hour rule? I'm going to jump into that. But here's why I'm coming to you live every single day. It's not because I think I'm extraordinary at public speaking. In fact, it's the opposite. The reason why I'm coming to you live every single day is because I want to hone my skill of public speaking so that in the next 3 to 5 years, I truly am an expert. I believe I'm an expert today. In this present moment, I know that I can help you with your public speaking journey. I know that I've grown exponentially from where I began. I've done keynotes, I've done workshops, I do these lives, but I want to get better. I want to be at that level of greatness that we regard people like Michael Jordan or Bill Gates or Mozart and even the Beatles. What do they all have in common? I'm going to share that with you today. But I want to be at that level of greatness. So when I think of great public speakers, or when you think of great public speakers, my name comes on the list. I'm not there today. Where I'm at today is I'm climbing that ladder. And by putting out these lives every single day, I'm getting closer and closer to that goal because of the 10,000 hour rule. Let's get into what it is. So I'm currently reading Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, really great book. And in chapter 2, he goes over the 10,000 hour rule. What he's breaking down in this book, Outliers, is that no one's born special. No one's born. Michael Jordan wasn't born with the gift of basketball. Mozart wasn't born with the gift of music. Bill Gates wasn't born with the gift of programming. We there's a bunch of different things that he goes into, not just the 10,000 hours. There are so many different factors that go into what makes someone great. They're not just born that way. And the 10,000 hour rule directly applies to those people that I just mentioned. So I'm going to break it down for you of who they are. So here's what the 10,000 hour rule is. What researchers and scientists have found in all of their studies of all the people, such as the greats that I just mentioned there, is that every single one of them have spent well over 10,000 hours in their industry or in their field before they became great at what they are, or before they became regarded as great. And so I'm going to break some of that down for you with some real world examples that is broken down in the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And I think from these examples, you're going to be able to see what I mean by no one's born special. Here's one that I love that's in this book here, and it is about the Beatles. We all know who the Beatles are, John Lennon and McCarthy. If you don't know who the Beatles are, you've definitely heard one of their songs. They're in commercials. They're all over the place. So don't worry if you haven't heard, if you don't know who the Beatles are, you're definitely a younger audience, and that's cool. I love that you're watching. And if you do know who the Beatles are, awesome. You're definitely my demographic. And so that's awesome too. So the Beatles were the super band of the 1960s, 70s, and even going on into the 80s and 90s. They were a super band. They really changed the way that pop music was played in the United States. They came from the United Kingdom. And here's what's really special about them is that people looked at them as like, oh my goodness, these overnight sensations, these young guys came in here and they just revolutionized music. However, what Malcolm Gladwell breaks down in his book is that they actually started 10 years before that, and not just started playing music in a garage or started playing at different shows. They were doing that, but where they got their huge break is that they actually started playing in this area in the red light district, actually in Hamburg, where they would play for 8 or 12 hours all at once. So they had these really long sessions of playing together to where they had to learn covers really well. They had to start coming up with their own music, and they really had to mesh well as a band in order to cover all those hours. So what happened to them was that in a very short period amount of time, they were able to hone their skills as a band so that when the time came, they were able to explode with great songs. The same is true for Bill Gates. You might know Microsoft. You may not know who Bill Gates is, but Microsoft was created and founded by Bill Gates. And what happened with him was that he went to a school that actually had a computer in it. Now, for those of you today who are growing up, you're like, wow, that's nothing special. But back then, to go to a school that had a computer mainframe in it was something that was unheard of. So he was very fortunate in those high school days. And what they discovered was that he was programming for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. So he was getting those hours in. And there were so many other factors that came into play that by the time he got to Harvard and dropped out to start Microsoft, he had put in well over 10,000 hours. And how about Mozart? Here's the thing with Mozart is everybody thinks he was this great creative genius. However, what they found when they started everything back, he did start at a very young age, at 5 years old, which is amazing. It's nothing to take away from him. But his father was composing with him. His father was guiding him and helping him compose, and he was taking from other compositions and putting them together. It wasn't until he was in his 20s that he came up with his own composition, which are famous today. And so what we learn about this is that it took him 10,000 hours. So again, back to the research in that it takes 10,000 hours. Now, here's the myth in 10,000 hours that I want to make sure that we're aware of, is that it's not 10,000 hours of just showing up. These people that we're talking about, they didn't just show up and say, oh, I put my 10,000 hours in. They showed up with intentionality. And so that's the thing, is that you have to show up with intentionality. So whatever it is that you're looking to get good at, or if you're studying the greats, look at what they focused on. What was their passion? What were they intentional about? How did they show up for it? How many hours did they put into it? And now look at your world and what are you doing? How are you intentional? How are you practicing purposefully? So that's really, really important, what I'm going to speak about next, which is my public speaking journey. So after reading this chapter, I was so motivated. I was so moved. So I started just thinking about where I'm at and what I want to be great at. And in all the factors of my life of skiing and basketball and parenting and all, parenting's definitely something I want to be great at. And I think I'm getting my 10,000 hours in just by doing it. But in all the other areas, I was like, what is it that I want to be great at? What do I want to be known for? And it's public speaking. I want to be known for being a great speaker, a great communicator. And so how do I get there? And that's where the reps come in. The reps come in getting there for me. So I started breaking it down and I thought about it. I joined Toastmasters about 8 years ago. I go to every meeting every week, 52 weeks in a year. But let's just say, and I know that I've missed a few meetings every year. So let's just say I only went to 40 meetings a year, which I think is realistic. 40 meetings a year, an hour a week for 8 years, that's 320 hours. Then I thought about it. I also ran a podcast for 3 years. I did over 100 episodes, over an hour each episode. But let's just say I spoke for only an hour. So that's about 1,000 hours right there. And then I had my keynotes, I have my workshops, I have my different talks, I have my different lives. So I'm just going to rough estimate that from all of that together, I've put in 2,000 hours. So for me, a public speaker, somebody who's been hired to keynote, hired to provide workshops and coaching on public speaking, I've only done 2,000 hours. So as I journaled on that and I thought, I want to be a great speaker. I want to be known as the best. What do I need to do? I started scaling it back. So I looked at my 10,000 hours. How can I take my 10,000 hours and put that into my days and part of my work and make it realistic for me? I don't think my plan is quite realistic. I'm going to be honest with you, because it does come into about 4 hours a day of public speaking of things like this. And this video is not going to be an hour long. I highly doubt it. But I'm getting closer. And that's kind of where I want to help you or inspire you to do, is I want you to look at your 10,000 hours or the amount of hours that you spent where you're at in perfecting what you're doing. And how can you get to your 10,000 hours? And even looking at my Toastmasters and my podcast, that's not really the number of hours, because I don't speak for an entire hour at Toastmasters, and I wasn't the only one speaking on the podcast. But I'm just kind of giving a rough estimate to try to get us somewhere. So with that being said, what I've come up with for myself is a formula of doing an hour of live streaming every day, doing an hour of, you know what? I'm going to have to go to my notes here. I very rarely have to do this. I'm pretty good at getting my notes, but because I'm being so specific, I got to go to my notes. So live streaming for an hour, podcasting for an hour, teaching, workshopping, doing something of that nature for an hour, and writing for an hour. You see, because public speaking is not just about speaking, it's also about writing. It's also about having research and something to speak about. So writing and reading, all of that falls into my hour of perfecting my craft of becoming a better public speaker. There's a lot of other things involved in it, but that's kind of my focus right now. And so the way I look at it is, if I do that starting today, every day, put in my 4 hours for the next 10 years, by the time I'm 53, boom, I'll hit the peak. I'll be an overnight success in 10 years. Awesome. I truly believe that I can do that a lot sooner, become that overnight success sooner. But in order to perfect what I'm doing, I will have to work at it diligently. And so I want to bring this back to you of, what is it that you want to perfect? And how diligently are you working on perfecting it? When you're going into the lab, when you're going into working on it, how are you working on it? How are you practicing? How effective is your practice? Really think about that and see how you could fine tune it. I'm thinking about it right now. How can I fine tune this? How can I get better at this? How could I improve it so that I can get to where I'm at? What this also helps with is patience. What it helped me recognize is that I need to be more patient. I've only done 2,000 hours. Yeah, I'm not going to get paid like Les Brown. I'm not going to get on stages like Brennan Burchard. I'm not going to be the next Tony Robbins tomorrow. But those are great goals to aspire to. I got to get my 10,000 hours in. I have to do it intentionally. I have to really commit to it, which is a challenge. I'll tell you right now, I wrote this yesterday and I have not stuck to it yet. And even today, I went to Toastmasters today. I'm doing this right now. I actually have a coaching session. I'm on track for today. I don't know if I'm on track for tomorrow, but I'm going to get there. And I read this morning. The next thing to focus on here now is you. You have to know why you're doing it. So we just talked about the purpose, but what's your why? See, I just shared with you is, here's my intentionality, right? Here's why I want to do it. I aspire to be those greats because I want to create the impact that they've created in my life. That's the reality. See, when I bring up Brennan Burchard and Les Brown and Tony Robbins, and there's so many other ones, I bring them up not because they're famous, not because they're millionaires. All of that is wonderful. Brian Tracy, all of that is wonderful. That's not why I bring them up. I bring them up because of what they've done for me, how they've inspired me, how they've impacted my life. And so I want to do the same for others. For me, I want to be able to impact others the way that they've done it for me. I know that I have, which is so cool. Like when I receive testimonials and text messages and emails and feedback from workshop participants or for my keynotes, and people say how great I did. I love that. That's awesome. And I want to do it on a larger scale. And I want to see the financial reward from it, to be able to take care of my family, to be able to do the things that I want to do with all of them. So I got a lot of work to do, and it's got to start today. I know my why. I know why I'm doing this. I know the impact I want to create. And if you want to put your 10,000 hours in, you need to know your why. You need to know why are you going to put the 10,000 hours in. You need to know how you're going to do it, and you need to show up. You need to take action. That's what you need to do. Just now, my coaching client just came running down the stairs there, and I'm looking forward to take action with him. So I'm going to jump off this live now. I want to thank you for watching. Like I said, I'm going to be going live. I plan to do it every day. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it every single day. I'd like to do it every single day. And if I can, I will. And so I'll catch you next time on Making Moves with Michael live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. Stay happy and stay healthy, and go get your 10,000 hours in, people. Bye.